All right. It's Bruce Hill, New Skills, New You. Most of y'all know me by now. Welcome to Interested to Invoice Workshop. By the end of this workshop, you'll have 5 simple steps, a simple structure to guide potential clients from where they are to signing up for your program, right? From interested to invoice. And one thing I pride myself on is keeping things very, very simple, because simple action items get executed on. And when you execute, you get results. I'm all about results because one new skill will change your life. So one or two things, actually. This all started, where all great stories start, right? I ended up losing my job. I just moved to Nashville, Tennessee, got me a car, got me an apartment. I was kind of rebuilding my life. I had lost close to everything. And I was on the upswing. So I was feeling good. I was proud of myself. I didn't give up until I lost my job. And now I'm like, oh no, or you have deja vu all over again. I was like, man, I don't want to go back to zero. I don't want to go back to the bottom. What do I do? So I called my buddy up, and this is a very important life lesson. Like, who you get advice from is going to point you towards the direction their life is going. So my advice to you is don't take advice from people who wouldn't want to swap places with in their lives, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Fortunately for me, he was a car salesman. He was professional, I think, in finance. And he's told me, hey, you should go sell cars. You'd be good at it. Go figure it out. And at that point, I really hadn't sold anything professionally. Done some fundraising in the past. That's about it. I can't think of anything else. Maybe some customer service, and maybe there were some commissions tied to our performance, but it wasn't pure selling. This will be the first time I got paid $0 in salary, and it was purely on performance. And what's magical about that? Some people are like, "What? You didn't get a salary?" No, it was 100% commission. But what's magical about that? You are responsible for your own success. You are responsible for your own success. And that's such a life-changing mindset to have, because at a traditional 9 to 5, or I should say, a salary 9 to 5, you get paid whether or not you do a lot of work or a little bit of work. And that can be very reassuring, can be some safety there. If you just don't feel like it that day, no worries, you'll get the same paycheck. What was happening to me, though, is I would go above and beyond. I would get certifications. I'd help out team members. I'd get there early and stay late, and my salary would stay the same. So when we moved to commission, I was actually pretty excited. I was like, this is great. If I work harder, I can earn more. And I believe that a commission-based sales job is the closest thing you can get to being an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you're 100% responsible for your income. And that can be scary for some, but that's the point of this course, this workshop, is to make that a little bit easier, to make it a little bit more predictable for your income. So as I grow as a sales professional, one thing that this company taught me was to have a structure. It was to have a structure. And as I continue to practice and to learn, I took that structure and I repeated it. And of course, the more I repeated it, the more success I had. And I ended up, I want to say 3 years back to back is a President's Club Award winner, because I had a formula and I stuck to it. The formula worked, so I just did it over and over and over again. I didn't reinvent the wheel. They taught me what works, and I did what worked. So the point of the workshop here is, it took me a few years to figure this out, why I wasn't getting consistent number of yeses when I was talking to clients, why I couldn't predict which people would say yes and which people would say no. And I realized, reflecting back on my experience as a sales professional, I didn't have a structure for my business because consistent practices yield consistent results. Consistent practices yield consistent results. So when you are talking to a client, whether you're messaging them, it's an email thread, a Zoom call, a phone call, or in person, when you have a structure in place, you sound more confident, you sound more prepared, and you don't miss anything that would prevent them from moving forward. You uncover their concerns, you uncover their questions, and that's where more people are going to be able to tell you yes. So right now, put in the chat for new clients, how do you usually engage with new clients? Is it a one-on-one call? I think, Gilbert, I know you do live workshops. Does that lead to a phone call or a Zoom call? Let me know in the chat. Or you could come off mute. We could keep it pretty engaging.
Yeah. When we do the live workshops weekly, it's to lead to a call.
Okay.
So basically they'll book a strategy call.
Mhm.
And then from that strategy call, we will close them as new clients.
Beautiful. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Do you have a script or a call structure that you or your team uses?
Yeah, we have like kind of like an intro, like of the call, really just asking a lot of questions to understand needs, understand where they are, because not everybody's qualified for what we offer. So
right. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And I, Joe, we talked yesterday. You hop on a Zoom call with them, and then refresh my memory. I think you said 50% conversion rate, which is awesome. But if people don't move forward, you said it's usually money. We're going to help cover how to avoid that. And there was a second thing that people run into that I think you said that they'll call you back and they don't. So we'll cover that as well. So what I had to do was I had to figure out how can I have a consistent process to lend me consistent results. And I've tested it and I'll share it with you. Now, here's something funny about me. I actually don't like using slides. I started teaching years ago. I mean, I wasn't even old enough to drive. I'm a teacher for at least 2 decades. And I learned very quickly that you didn't always have access to electricity. You didn't always have access to Wi-Fi. You didn't always have access. Their computer was a Mac, and it didn't have this software, or it was a Windows PC and it wasn't up to date. And so I started doing all my presentations very, very low tech. I prefer in person, but that's fine. I started doing things very, very low tech because there's less things that could go wrong. But I also realized that different people have different learning styles. So let me know, can you see the screen?
yes.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take notes with you. And I encourage you, if you've ever been on my webinars or workshops, you should always have a pen and pencil. Actually take a minute to grab that right now, because I'm gonna keep this so simple. You could take it and put it into practice today, right? I want it to be actionable. And you could teach it to your team, and this will help you scale. So you know that they have a process that they're using each and every time with each and every client. So you put yourself in a position to hear yes the most number of times, the highest percentage number of times. So grab a pen and paper, and I'm going to take notes along with you. But the goal is not to have some convoluted process to impress you. The goal is to have a simple process that works. So when I start with interested to invoice, and you know what else I want to do? I'm gonna send you a resource when we're done that summarizes all this. Nice little pretty graphic. It's called the question path. And that's actually the title of this process is what I call it. Probably should get a trademark. That's okay. The step one, where you said this earlier, is permission. Whenever we come onto a call, I like to assume that person wants to tell me yes. That person took their time, part of their day to share with you because they think you have a solution to the problem they have. And this is so important to start the call because you'll sound more confident, you'll sound more calm, and you'll sound more energetic, right? How much more energetic are you going to be if you go into a call thinking to yourself, man, I'm very likely can help this person. I know, Joe Barry, you said not everyone's a good fit, but we want to, until they tell us otherwise, we want to assume the positive. We want to assume the positive. And I actually read a book in the heart of leadership. And one of the principles they taught was to always assume the best in people. So when we come on to the call, the first thing we want to do, because we have this yes mindset, is ask permission. That sounds like a few very simple questions. Is this still a good time? That one saved me a lot of trouble because sometimes I'll catch people, oh, my partner couldn't get the kids. I have to go. I'm in line at school right now. Okay. They're gonna get interrupted, right? The kid's gonna hop in the car, they're gonna be talking. I'm gonna reschedule that. Is this still a good time? They're stuck in a meeting from work, so their attention is split. I need your full attention. I had one, bless her heart. I said, hey, is this still a good time? And she said, well, actually, my brother just died. And I was like, excuse me? She said, yeah, I just found out about 15 minutes ago. And I love that she still made the call. But guess what? I'm going to reschedule that call. I got to make sure I'm taking care of my clients first over anything, because that's who the business is here to serve. So I love asking, is this still a good time? And then and you can use a combination of these or any one of these. Do what's best for you. And if you like some one-on-one help on picking out what works best for you, I'm happy to do that. What prompted you to schedule a call? Now, Juliet, yours goes straight from, what's the word I'm looking for? Straight from the workshop. That might be an obvious question, right? If I'm in the LinkedIn workshop that you just held, I think, was it on Wednesdays, and I book a call, you already know the answer to that question. Hey, I want to increase my leads. Joey, I know yours is a little bit more automated from Twitter, etc. That might be a good question for you. Hey, what's going on where you wanted to set some time to speak with me today? One more I like, to best serve you. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? So I really like this one because it sets this expectation. Hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to figure out how I can best serve you and solve your problems. And then I set the expectation. I'm going to ask you a few questions to accomplish that goal. It sets the tone for the call so they don't get annoyed, because all I'm going to do is ask the questions. I think, Joey, you've used that word before, right? We're going to diagnose. Before we even begin, I want them in their head to say, hey, Bruce is asking me these questions for a reason. All right. They never wonder, like, man, where's he going with this? Why does he keep asking me all these things? That's so simple, but starting a call with setting the expectation is powerful. One last thing, I'll say, hey, goal for this call. If you have an intake form, I know, Joe, you do. Joe Bear, I assume you do. If you have an intake form, there's probably some keywords you're looking for in there, right? So you can do one more. I see that you are blank. So for me, that would be, I would say, coach, consultant, speaker is one of my questions. My goal for this call is to determine I can best help you meet your goals. Again, we're setting the expectation at the beginning. We're taking ownership of the call. We're taking leadership. And I'm working on my interpersonal communication. This phrase always stuck out with me. He said, the person that asks the most questions controls the conversation. I'm gonna teach you a way we're gonna do that without sounding like an interrogation, right? We're not trying to what is that, the French Inquisition? We don't want to do the most talking. And as I go through, there's 5 steps. 4 of them are the client or potential client doing the talking. 80% of the structure is the client doing the most talking. And I've designed it that way. It's twofold. One, introverts I coach absolutely love this. They're like, oh, I don't have to do all the talking. This is great. 2, it helps the client become more comfortable. The more they chat, the more comfortable they become. And the more comfortable they are, the easier it is for you to lead them towards a solution, right? Whichever coaching program, product, or service you want to offer them. So they really should be doing the most talking. If you write this one down, it's called Chorus AI. See if I could throw this on the chat. And then Otter AI. Chorus AI will hop into, I should have turned it on for this one so I could show you. We'll hop into your Zoom calls. It'll be as a registrant. And it will transcribe the conversation, but it also monitors like keywords. And you can tell it which words you want, whether that's money or whether that's a problem or concern, and you can have it highlight that for you, how many times they're mentioned. One of the very valuable things is it tells you which percentage of the conversation you were talking for. I strongly encourage you to be less than 30%. 15 to 20% is all the talking you need to do in order to move them forward. The goal of this call is not for you to impress them with how much you know, it's to understand what their problem is. All you need to do is present them with a solution. So for this to be most effective, make sure you're asking more questions than you are giving exposition, right? More than you're talking. Any questions, comments, concerns so far?
No, this is great.
Excellent. Thank you. I keep it so simple. I love it that one of my favorite quotes is genius is being able to take the complex and make it simple. Once we've and what's really fun about doing these trainings is, Joey Joubert, you probably follow these steps in some way. It may not be in this order, but when you have this clear structure, again, you have a consistent structure, it's going to make sure you get consistent results. So I'm confident this will help you grow in your business. Permission should be 1-2 minutes, maybe less. The next step is your current situation. A lot of people skip this portion, and they end up hearing things like, "I have to think about it. I'll get back to you. I'm not really sure if that's what I'm looking for." And what I've found is the more time you spend here on their current situation, the less objections they'll have later. Because you really want them almost their feelings to be hurt. Like you almost want them on the brink of tears here. One of my favorite things, and this was so tough, but one of my favorite conversations was I was talking to a client and I was selling software. And he tells me about a time where his IT systems went down. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "What do you mean his IT systems went down?" And I was like, "Okay, but what happened because the IT system went down?" And he was like, "Well, you had to go fix it." I was like, "Well, what day was it?" He was like, "It was Sunday." And I was like, "What were you doing when you got that notification?" He said, "Well, I was barbecuing." I was like, man, that sounds fun. Who were you barbecuing with? He said, I was with my family. It's like, okay. So then what happened? And here's what's really obnoxious about this. So it has to be done carefully. Again, if you need someone to want to help, I'll help you iron this out. This was really obnoxious about this. You want it to be so crystal clear what the problem is, not just in your mind, in their mind. And you really have to push them face towards the mirror, say, hey, this is where you are right now. Do you want to stay here? So now it's not a question of, do you want to sign up for my program? No, your life sucks. Your business is struggling, okay? Whether you're overweight, whether your revenue is down, whether you're busy all the time and never productive, right? The current situation right now is their pain point, is their problem, is their issue. And if they're not clear on what that is, there's no motivation for them to go from interested to invoice. They're just going to be curious. I don't want curious people. I want committed people. I want people committed to the change. So I talked to him and he says, yeah, man, I was barbecuing with my family. I was like, oh, awesome. How often do you do that? He's like, man, not often enough, Bruce. I was like, well, why not? He's like, there's always something comes up, man. I just don't have the time. And so I said, well, did you finish barbecuing? He's like, no, I had to go to the office and fix the problem. I was like, damn, how did that make you feel? He's like, what do you mean, Bruce? I was like, I'm just asking you, how did that make you feel? And he's like, Bruce, it sucked. It pissed me off. I want to spend time with my family. I don't want to worry about servers and network latency. I said, yeah, no, me neither. I said, well, how does your family feel? And he got a little quiet. He's like, you know what? They're really understanding, but they'd rather have me there with them. And so then I didn't say anything for a little bit. He's quiet and I'm quiet. And I asked him, I said, hey, Mr. Client, if I could help you be more proactive in catching these things before they're a problem, and you could spend more time with your family, does it make sense that we move forward? What is he going to tell me? What is he going to say to me? No, Bruce, I don't want to spend more time with my family. No, Bruce, I want to solve, I want more problems in my IT environment. Well, he just told me that's what he wanted. So I just offered him what he wanted. How do I know? Ask better questions. That's one of my trainings. We won't go over it today, but asking better questions gets you better answers. And you have to be just a little bit of a jerk. If someone says I left my barbecue to go to work on a Sunday, it's a little bit, is that rude? Well, I don't want to be insensitive, but I need you to say it out loud. How did that make you feel, Mr. Client? That is so necessary because comfortable people don't change. Comfortable people don't change. They're going to stay put. We need people that are uncomfortable, and we're going to help them become happier, remove that pain for them. Those are people that enroll. So you absolutely cannot skip this step and hope to have any sort of success in your business. So we're going to say, let's use, where are you? Now, this is pretty simple for in a literal sense, in a figurative sense, right? If I'm a realtor, say, hey, where are you right now? Oh man, I live in Decatur. I live in the College Park. I don't have a backyard. All right, my neighbors on top of each other. I need some lawn. I got a dog. I need some space. Okay. The logical thing, what a lot of people do is they're going to say, where are you looking? That's the next step. That's step 3. You want to ask, write this down. You want to ask at least 5 questions about their current situation. So I'm going to say, so let's go back to the example I just used. What do they say? Hey, I don't have a yard. My neighbors are on top of each other. I have dogs. I'll say, hey, what kind of dogs do you have? Now you have to be careful. I don't want you to get into a casual conversation on the different breeds of Yorkies. It's not the point. You should be taking notes in this conversation and say, oh, okay, we've got 2 dogs. How big are they? Oh man, one's 50 pounds, one's 85 pounds. So, whoa, those are big dogs. They probably need a lot of space, don't they? Yeah, sure do. How long have you had them? Oh man, they're my favorites. I've had them for 3, 4 years now. Where did you live before that had the most space? And they'll describe it to you. So what happens, and you'll see this as we go down the line, you're going to just repeat back to them later. Hey, listen, I want to make this recommendation in this neighborhood because you're going to have a yard for your dogs, Max and Rex, right? Now I'm connecting where they want to go with my solution. I can't do that if I'm not crystal clear on their current situation. So we need to ask at least 5 questions here. And that's not, I don't have a script for you. I don't like scripts anyway. But you just want to dive deeper into their current situation. Where are you today? This one is really straightforward. What is your biggest problem? So let's say they're overweight. One of my favorite questions I ask is, so that's fine. You're overweight. It's okay. Love you the way you are. And I say, no, Bruce, I got to lose weight. That's step 3. We always want to jump to step 3, which is their future aspirations. But wait. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to be healthier. Okay. What does that mean? What does healthier look like? Well, there was a skating event yesterday, last night with my entrepreneur group, and I couldn't even go. I didn't want to embarrass myself because I'm just too heavy to go skating. Oh, okay. So now you're missing out on events because you're not physically able to join them. Yeah, that's right, Bruce. Okay, what else? Remember, I told you we're gonna ask 5 times. What does healthier look like for you? What does it feel like if you don't lose any weight? Oh man, I have trouble sleeping, I have trouble breathing. The stairs in my house kick my ass. And I want to ask over and over and over again until they almost, and you'll hear it in their voice, they almost become a frustrated and annoyed. And that's where you want to move forward. But you can't skip this step. And I've said that a couple of times. If we disconnect, my computer dies, the Wi-Fi cuts off. Just remember, like if you can do this step well, excuse me, they'll move themselves to the next step. So when you say, what's the biggest problem? They're going to tell you and they say, why? Why is that a concern? Okay, you're overweight. So what? Dad bods are in, right? Or the winter time, what do they call it? Cuddle season. And I have another buddy. He's he's large enough where he can't get life insurance. That was a wake-up call for him. He was like, man, I've got to do something about my health. This is serious. I can't take care of my family the way I want to if I'm unhealthy. We've got to get to the root. So not just what is a problem, why is it a problem? And then I like to ask, how long has it been this way? Now, this one's real simple. It's almost obvious what I'm doing here. If I say, hey, how long have you been concerned about your weight? How long have you been wanting a bigger yard? How long have you fill in the blank? So at the end of this conversation, we'll get to this in step 5. I'll say, hey, listen, Bruce, you told me you New Skills New You has been around for just going on a year now. You're not consistently getting clients from LinkedIn. Do you want to go another year with unpredictable clients, with unpredictable results? How would that make you feel if you're in the same place in 2023 as you were in 2021? That's such a simple question, but ask you other questions, you're going to get better answers. So now Bruce says, damn, you know what, Joubert? I don't know if I'd survive that long. I got to do something different. And then Joubert comes in and saves the day. He says, hey, let me show you this proven system that I've used to help people just like you accomplish their goal. Do not skip this step. Okay. I like this one too. How would you feel if the situation never changed? You'll get some really interesting answers there. I promise you will. Once I'm crystal clear on where they are, I say, hey, you know what, Bruce, I'm not trying to be mean to you. I just really want to understand, what's going on in your life, because that's going to help me serve you better. So if we can help you lose this weight, if we can find a bigger yard, if we can increase your productivity without increasing how many hours you're working, or even decrease hours you're working, if we can help you consistently get qualified leads, what does that do for your business? Oops, pause. Questions, comments, concerns?
So between step 2, step 3, the transition is really painting the picture of the future to them.
Great question. You want to repeat back what they said about the current situation, and then ask them what the future looks like if this problem is solved. Do not tell it to them. It's very important that they say it out loud. Great question. Mhm. So I'll say, hey, you've lost this weight. What are you doing? Right? Hey, you have this bigger yard. Why was your life different? And then what that does is I tell them, or I repeat what they asked me, or what the information they gave me. And then I want them to paint the picture. Oh man, my dogs are happy. I can leave them outside when I go to work, so they're not cooped up in a cage, right? If I'm healthy, I can get life insurance. I'll feel better. That my family's good hands. If I pass away sooner unexpectedly, I could go skating with my friends. Now I'm running around the beach like Baywatch, right? They're gonna start telling you what they want, and that's so huge when we're talking about in step 5 is presenting the solution. So great question there. So what does success look like? Let's do this. That's not quite what I meant. There you go. What's another question I like to ask? Oh, how is your life? And this is very interesting. I've noticed. I don't want to say how is it better. I want to say how is it different. And the reason I use that word specifically is better is vague. Some people think anchovies go on pizza. That makes the pizza better. I don't personally agree. That's okay. When I ask them, how is your life different? There's a contrast. There's a contrast between their current situation and their future aspirations. Actually, this could be goals, but I like alliterations. So the bigger that contrast, the more they're going to pay you for the solution. The bigger the gap between their future and their present, the more they're going to be willing to pay. That's huge when you're talking about services, because if I sold water bottles, there's a bottom line cost, right? I can go to Kroger or Sam's Club, I can get 12 or 18 for $3. So there's a bottom line cost that I can't go below, or I'll break even or start losing money, right? With a service, and this is another conversation for another day. That price is tied to its value. There's really not a huge cost, maybe beyond time, right? For hosting this workshop, for example, right? I just needed a computer and some Wi-Fi. So how much is it worth? How much is it worth? Well, this is the answer. How much it's worth is, does it get them closer to these future aspirations? I'll make a note to send over that pricing that pricing workshop I did. So I want to know, how is their life different? Not better. How is it different? So we can find that contrast. What are you doing a year from now, right? This will be good for, I think, Joey, I know you focus on productivity, all right? If you have more time in your week, in your month, how would you spend it? How has your life evolved, changed because you're hitting your goals? This is one, I hate to say, even one of these steps is more important than the other. I don't spend as much time here because most of the time people have spent time fantasizing about what they want and they ignore where they are. And what's very interesting, whenever you have a GPS for directions, it always asks you, where are you now? Right? It says, where do you want to start this trip from? Your current location is the default setting. I can't get you here if I don't know where you are. So I really feel like current situation, I said it before, I said it again, this is really the most important step. If you only did this step, this would still work. But I like to know the future aspirations because the wider that gap, the more I know they're going to be willing to take action. Questions, comments, concerns there?
Makes sense.
Next, I want to say something like, man, Bruce, that sounds great. That sounds amazing. I'd like a house with a nice yard for my dogs too. I'd love to be able to go roller skating all night and then get up and go to the beach in the morning. That sounds wonderful. I would love to get more done in less time. And I would love to know that each month, each week, I'm getting 5 to 10 qualified leads for my LinkedIn. That sounds wonderful. I'm making more money. I'm spending more time doing what I want, what I love. Wait a minute. Bruce, why aren't you doing that right now? And now we're going back to being a little bit of a jerk again. What's in the way? And you really want, and do not let them skip this step. This step only needs to be 2 or 3 sentences, 2 or 3 minutes. But don't skip it because this is going to be the problem you solve. They're going to say, well, I don't have time to work out. You know, the gym is far away. I'm not familiar with these neighborhoods where I should buy a house. I'm new to LinkedIn. I'm just a disorganized person. You'll hear those trigger words. And what's interesting is it'll sound just a little bit like this. So you want to make sure it's clear. So you're telling me, Bruce, that you really don't want to spend hours and hours and hours tinkering with LinkedIn. No, I don't. Now, so Gilbert, that might be the trigger for you to say, hey, we've got a done for you package. We'll say, well, I don't mind doing it. I just don't know what to do. Okay. That's going to be an indication they might say, all right, are they done with you? Or some coaching, right? Some coaching through the steps. So I want to know why you're stuck here and not moving closer to here. This is also a good way to avoid bad clients If they make excuses, oh, well, I've tried and nothing works. I just don't think it's possible for me. You can hear a negative mindset, a fixed mindset, and you can decide that, hey, maybe this isn't the best person for you. I usually send them to a lower tier product, and I'll send them the link. I won't sign them up on the phone. I'll send them to like a course. Say, hey, I just emailed you a link for the course. Check it out. I think this will solve your problem. If they sign up, great. If not, hey, there's no headache. I don't like headaches. I like to help people. I can't do that if they make excuses. And then I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm not here to drag anyone to their own success. No, I'm here to guide you to your success, but I'm not going to do it for you. I'll do it with you, but I'm not going to do it for you. So one tip to you all as coaches, keep an eye out for people that are making excuses. All right? That's the last thing you need to do is problem clients that pay slow or don't pay, and they're not doing their homework, they're not following up, so they're not getting results, and they're not going to complain to you about it. They're not going to refer you to other people, and if you're really lucky, they're going to charge it back, right? The report is fraud. That's a headache. So this question is really because we already understand where they are and where they want to go. This is really just to make sure we're only bringing on clients that are ready to take action. We only want to bring on clients that are really willing to do the work necessary to get the results that they want. All right. Questions, comments, concerns on this one? All right, awesome. This is the last step. Now you get to talk, right? There's 5 steps. So what, 4/5 was that 80%? 80% should be them doing all the talking. Keep them on track. Make sure they don't start telling you about their grandma's garden or something unrelated. But they should be doing most of the talking. You don't want to talk until this step. As 7 habits of highly effective people, there's one of the steps is seek first to understand, then to be understood. We got to understand. How do we understand? We ask better questions. Look at what we did here. What prompted you? Where are you? How? Why? What? Those are questions. We're not telling them anything just yet. If your intake process is strong, which I'm pretty confident both of yours, so I didn't go into it very deeply. You've already looked at their form, their intake form, and you make sure at least you're talking to a coach, consultant, trainer, whoever your ideal client is. So you shouldn't have to spend a lot of questions asking them that yes or no questions. Those should be on the intake form. These open-ended questions are for gathering information. That's something else I talked about in my Asking Better Questions course. We really want to gather information, this whole process, and then we're going to present a solution. So first, we're going to summarize. I'm going to say something like, hey, Bruce, I want to make sure I understand, right? Oh, you did a great job of this yesterday, right? All right, Bruce, I'm going to say this back to you. Let me know any parts I got wrong. And you're just going to summarize very briefly, right? So you're going to say, hey, you reached out to me, schedule a call. You want to raise your revenue, okay? Your biggest problem right now is you have clients on the phone, but you're afraid to sell them, or you're not sure how to close the deal. You want to be able to hear yes more often, so you can regularly, consistently enroll clients into your coaching program. But you're not sure what to say. You get a lot of anxiety. You don't have the confidence to ask for their business. Did I miss anything there? Okay. Nope, Bruce, you nailed it. And this is really important because every now and then, and actually this perfect example, perfect example. I had someone come on before I had really ironed this out. Their current situation and a future aspiration, I asked those questions, but I didn't ask that permission one at the beginning. And what happened was I presented the wrong solution. And they're like, no, that's not what I want. And they told me no. A lot of people won't tell you no. They'll say, oh, I got to think about it. I'll call you back. And we'll get to that in just a second. But she said no. She's like, nope, I won't do that. I'm like, well, you told me you're here and you want to get there. She's like, yep. And I was like, well, then you should do that. She said, nope, I don't want to do that. And so I had to switch. And this is where present the solution evolved. I'm sorry, that's where the obstacle get in the way. And I was like, well, if you're here and you want to get there, what do you think is the next best step? Right. And I asked her, basically, that's a rephrase of what's in the way. And then she says, well, I need 1, 2, 3. And that's when that light bulb came on. I was like, oh, I'm offering you ABC. She wanted 1, 2, 3. I said, oh, I can help you with that. I was trying to offer her a sales package, but she wanted a speaking and presenting package. I didn't ask the right questions. And that's where I had to add the obstacles. So then I went back around to my summary and said, okay, so you're here, you want to be here. And in order to get there, you want to work on your presentation skills. Did I have it right this time? She was like, yes. She signed up for two coaching sessions, actually. So this is where I love the summary, because just in case we were talking a different language this whole time, you can catch it here. And it's important you catch it before you ask them for any money or to take action, because you don't want to offer them a wrench when they need a hammer. All right. So almost done. Let's see. Where'd my screen go? So we'll make sure I understand completely. We're going to repeat. Their concerns. Ask for confirmation. This is probably the first time you're going to ask a yes or no question. All right, you notice all these questions are open-ended. Where confirmation questions or yes, they can be answered yes or no. So we'll say, hey, did I get that right? Are we on the same page? Then you're going to ask them another yes or no question. If I can help you overcome, and let's do problem. Does it make sense we work together? I love this question. And they'll tell you, they'll say, no, it's the weirdest thing, but I'm not here to teach you to convince people. This isn't a persuasion course. They'll say, no, I think I'm going to keep my problem. And I've had people tell me that. There's two things. The gap between here and there just either isn't large enough, or they really don't care too much about their future aspirations and they're comfortable staying where they are. It's the weirdest thing. Here's what you do. If someone tells you, hey, if I can help you overcome this problem, does it make sense we work together? And they tell you no, I'll ask them, are you comfortable staying in the same place, right? We go back to our current situation today, that you are today, this time next year. And they'll say, yeah, I guess so. Do not hire that client. Do not onboard that client. Say, well, here's what I want you to do. Send your email with my contact information. When you're ready to make some changes, I want you to send my team an email. And you put the responsibility on them. We do not convince people. You're talking to the wrong person. The harder you have to convince them, the harder it's gonna be to work with them. I want to make your life easier, not harder. All right. So they'll say, yeah, Bruce, of course, we should definitely work together. Great. I generally like to only have one solution, one offer. But if you have a done for you and a done with you, you can just ask them, what do you prefer? What's your style? And most people want their handheld. That's why they're talking to you, right? If they could have done it themselves, they would have done it already. But it's always good to ask, because there's people like me, I don't want to do it. You do it. And then there's other people that are like, no, I just need some help figuring it out. Can you give me the blueprint? That's fine. We're going to help both of them. But let's say they want it done for you. I say, okay, great. Bruce, I like to tell a success story. Success story. Obviously, the best case scenario, if Bruce is a consultant, you want to tell a story about a consultant. If it's a sales professional, you want to tell about the time you helped a sales professional. If you're a realtor, you want to tell somebody, hey, I had another client. They had 3 dogs. I know you only have 2. They had 3 dogs, and we found this great house in this neighborhood. I think we should look in that neighborhood as well. Right? Sign. I forget what that realtor sign. The agreement to be your realtor, whatever. Sign this. Let's get started. You want to tell them a success story so that builds their confidence that you are able to help them reach their goal, right? To reach their future aspirations. If you don't have a client, let's say you're very new to this, tell a success story in your own life. Man, listen, I was right where you were. I was talking to people. I was having conversations and no one was telling me yes. I was right where you were. Here's how I fixed it. Man, just what I'm teaching you today. And we can do that for your business too. Here's what I want to recommend. This is where you present the solution. All right. So there's 3 steps here. We're going to summarize. We're going to get confirmation. We're going to tell a success story. And we're going to make a recommendation. Say, hey, I have a coaching package, course, training, workshop coming up. And at the end of that program, you'll achieve this result. When do you want to get started? That's actually 2 lines of thought. You can ask when you want to get started, or you can say, hey, it's only $5,000. And then this is important, silence. Wait for them to respond. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Would you like to pay in full? Or do you want to hear about our other payment options? Pretty straightforward. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Nope. Clear like mud. So here's the fun part. That's the easy part. The fun part is when they don't say no, but they don't say yes. There's 3 reasons people will not move forward. I already told you one of them is they're comfortable. Don't convince those people. Let them go. The question I like to ask, if someone tells me that, I say, is it the price? Is it the program or something else? They tell me no, or anything that isn't yes. Anything that isn't yes is no. I'll say, okay. Is it the price, the program, or something else? And then, and this is, it's happened every which way. We'll say, you know what, Bruce, I just don't have $5,000. I don't have $7,000. Okay. What other concerns do you have? I always ask another question. Before I present a solution, I always ask another question. And they'll say, well, no, that's really it. So then I'll say, okay, if you had the funds, to cover this program, is there any reason you wouldn't sign up today? And they'll say, no, this is just what I need. Or they'll say, yes, actually, I can't do your workshop on Saturday, Bruce. That's the Sabbath. Okay, no worries. I've got a Wednesday session for you. Let's get you signed up for the Wednesday session. See how that works? We're not convincing anyone. We just want to make sure we're solving the right problem. Now, if it is a price, it's a little tough because you can't magically fix people's credit. You can't magically change people's saving habits. So I'm working on payment plans and financing options. That's something, if you don't already have, consider for your business, especially for those higher tickets. But let's say they just need to think about it. Here's what I want you to say. When someone tells me they need to think about it, it means they usually aren't willing to do the work to make the change, or they're not convinced that this will help them reach their goals. Which one are you? Oh, hey, you know what? I don't want to rush your decision, Bruce, but most of the time when someone tells me they need to think about it, that means they either aren't willing to invest in themselves, or they don't think this solution will help them reach their goals. Which one are you? That's a really tough question to ask, but they can't not buy from you twice. So don't worry about that. What's going to happen is they're going to say, well, yeah, I am willing to invest myself. I'm willing to do the work. And I'll say, great. I'm going to help make sure you get the most results from that effort. Let's get you signed up. Or they'll say, well, you know what, Bruce, I really don't know if I need any sales training. Now, ideally, I've taught you the question path where you should have uncovered what their obstacle is, so you're presenting the right solution. But let's say we missed it somehow, maybe a miscommunication. You'll say, well, you know what, Bruce, you say you don't need any sales training. What do you think the problem is? And they say, well, you know what, Bruce, my sales are pretty good. I just don't know what to do when they tell me no. Oh, okay, I can help you with that. Or they'll say, they'll uncover whatever it is bothering. If you ask them, you got to ask them now. Most people won't volunteer their information. So it can be uncomfortable. It takes a little practice, but your response, write this down, your response to anything your potential client, your future client says should be a question. Should not be an answer. It should be at least one question. They say, Bruce, you know what? I don't want to sign up for your coaching program. Our ego's response is, our ego trigger is, yeah, you do. It's a great program. Sign up. But what New Skills New You is telling you is ask them, okay, Bruce, well, thank you for being honest with me. What's your hesitation? I had to stop saying why not. It's a little combative, a little hostile. I say, what's your hesitation? You know, Bruce, that's a lot more than I thought it would be. Hey, I understand. Everything's going up, but our income. But if I can help you raise your income, your revenue, if I could repeat their current situation and move you to their future aspiration, if I can help you go from 2 or 3 clients each month to 8 or 10, would that investment make sense to you? You know what? You're right. It does, Bruce. Let's go. Now, there's the last thing we're going to wrap up today. Sometimes it really is a interested client, but there's a decision-making process that they have. I have some people that want to talk to their spouse. Some people just need to wait till Friday. So this is 5B, I guess. Set clear next steps. What does that mean? If they remember anything yes, anything other than yes is no. But it could be a delayed yes. We'll have to work one-on-one on the difference, but here's the short version. Say, okay, you need to think about it. Ask them, what is it you need to think about? What did we not cover that you have to consider? And they might just tell you, oh, well, I got to see if I'll get my bonus. If I got to talk to my spouse. Okay, when are you going to do that? And this is a set of clear next steps. I'll talk to them today. All right. Now, I'm not here to rush you, so I don't want to call you in 5 minutes, right? That's rude. But I do want to know, when are we going to make a decision? Yes or no? When are we going to make a decision? And then you'll say, what do you need from me to help you make an educated decision? Some people really just don't make decisions on the spot. It drives me absolutely wild. Especially when you're like, I can help you. But I used this the other day, enrolled someone. It was an affiliate program, but I had been talking to her for almost 30 days. But each time I talked to her, we had a clear next step. And she actually signed up last Friday for, it was $18,000 program. So it's okay, especially with larger programs, they don't make the decision right now, as long as there's a clear next step. And that's going to help you. That lifetime conversion number is going to be higher. So that one call close isn't always possible. But if you say, hey, listen, last time we talked, you said you need some time to think about it. What other questions do you have for me? And this gives them a chance. You can listen to the questions they ask you. It tells you what's really bothering them. So now you answer the questions, and they're going to say, okay, man, any other questions? Any other questions? No more questions. Okay, great. What's stopping you from moving forward? And they'll say, well, nothing. I'm like, great, let's sign up. Well, no, I can't sign up till Friday. All right, what's happening Friday? Well, I get paid on Friday. Okay, great. So if I call you Friday morning at 10, can we get you signed up? Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Let me put a reminder on our calendars. If you use these steps in this order, I guarantee you're going to increase the clients that tell you yes. You're going to improve your conversion rate. And with the follow-up, you can make sure that you don't miss any opportunities for something that is solvable. If they just don't want to sign up, that's fine, let them go. But there's some of those times that just needed an extra day. They just needed to make sure, they need to have someone pull, what do they call that, a HELOC? They wrote themselves a check from the HELOC. I just needed 3 days to clear. All right. So when someone says, I have to think about it, we don't want to take for granted that they have all the information they need. So those questions at the end are going to help make sure you uncover any concerns, any hesitations, and increase the number of times you hear yes. That's actually, oh, well, perfect timing. Nope, we're done. We're done. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we wrap up?
Thank you. This was great. Can we get like maybe the questions or maybe the recording of this?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to put together the question and the recording for purchase. No problem. I'll have that ready for you by Monday.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in. Cheers. Joey, questions, comments, concerns?
Nope, I'm all good. Thank you for doing this.
What was the biggest takeaway?
Biggest takeaway was to ask better questions, really. Just get a better understanding of where the prospect is, as well as what their objections may be, so that I can take care of those.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, go use it, and then I look forward to hearing some success stories.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Bruce Hill, New Skills, New You. This is Interested in Invoice Workshop. Cheers to your success.